We're just going to begin in child's pose. And the first little bit, just nice little warm up just to move the muscles and get everything going for the day. So we can start, we'll just do 3 breaths just to start our class. I prefer extended child's pose. So my knees wide and my arms stretched in front, my forehead to the mat. And we'll stay for 2 more breaths. And you'll hear me talk a lot about the breath. And essentially, I'm referring to your cycle of breath. So 2 more of your breaths. Whenever that is, we'll come back and meet at the next pose together. Okay, so we can rise up into our tabletop. We're just going to do a little cat-cow. So first we'll lower our stomachs down to the mat, tilting the head forward to the sky. Then we'll raise and arch our back like the cat, head down to the mat. We'll do 2 more cycles of that. And these don't have to be big, deep bends. As we're just starting our class, just trying to warm everything up today. Once you've finished your cycle there, we're going to come down to the mat for Cobra. So your hands can be almost in the same position as they are. And just lower ourselves down to the mat so your hands are by your chest. Still want to engage those legs, really have those quads engaged, stretching your feet far back to the room. And we're just going to lift. Just have a nice little stretch. Stay here for 2 more breaths. You can curl your toes under. We're going to pull ourselves up, straight legs, coming all the way up for downward dog. Remember, you want to have that nice straight line from your arms through to your hips, and then from your hips to your feet. Because it's the first one of the evening, feel free to cycle out or walk out those legs just to get some movement. I'm just going to come back down into Cobra again. And straightening those toes. We'll come back up for a nice arch. Just 1 more breath here. And lower back down. We're just going to come over to our to our backs, just in the supine position, just for a little gentle twist to start the class as well. Just going to move this. So we'll come back all the way to our back. We're just going to raise our knees to our chest. And put your arms out as a T. You're really going to use those to anchor you. We're just going to take our legs and do a nice gentle twist to the right, sorry. And you really want to use that left shoulder to hold your body in position. One more breath here. Come back up to center for a breath. And then we'll twist to the left. One more breath here. And we'll come back to our center position. And you can lower your feet back down to the mat. And slowly, we're going to come back up to our standing position. I know coming out of being on your back to in that supine position to standing can be a little jarring. So nice slow movements to get us going for the day. we're just going to come into our Tadasana, so our mountain pose. So nice strong legs, really rooting those feet into the mat. Nice tall spine. Opening up the chest, and you can roll your palms forward. With your head looking straight into the room. Stay for 2 breaths. Now, anchoring with your left foot, we're going to take our right foot, step back. We're going to move back for warrior 1. So we'll keep our nice heel to inner arch alignment between our feet, almost as if we're on a tightrope. We're just going to lower our left knee into the room and then take our hands up to our side, reaching for the sky. We'll stay here for 2 breaths as well. And we'll just come back to our standing position. And we're actually just going to rotate our feet. So we're going to bring our forward toes into the long edge of the mat and then reach our back toes towards the back end of the mat. And we're going to just change our warrior 1 facing the opposite direction. So we'll lower our left knee into the room, sorry, our right knee into the room, and then take our hands to the sky as well. And we'll just stay here for 2 breaths. And we can take a nice step forward or backwards to the front of your mat or the back of your mat. You'll be looking at the wall, unfortunately, but it's just a sequence. We're just going to be here for a moment. Again, we just want to root and ground those feet. I'm going to turn around just so I can watch everyone. Take that nice step back with your right leg again on that tight rope. Lowering that left knee into the room or into the wall now. And then our arms coming over our heads. Everyone's looking great today. Remember, we want to really keep that nice, strong back leg, really engaging those quads. 1 more breath here. And we'll come back up to the standing position. And we're going to do the same rotation with the feet so that we're going to make our way back to the front of the mat. Again, we'll lower that left knee into the room, reaching high to the sky for a nice warrior 1. I'm going to get you to stay there for 2 more breaths while I come back around to the center of the room. And then you can take that, your right leg, your back leg, and we'll step forward to the front of the mat. Got myself turned around. Again, we're going to root through our feet, really grounding, engaging those quads, nice tall back. We're going to go into our tree pose. So we're just going to use our right foot and raise our left leg. I'm going to stay with a kickstand. I've been having a lot of balance issues for the last couple of months, but I'll invite you to come up as high as you can, whether it's on your shin or your knee. But I'm going to stay in the kickstand just for my own safety. And we can reach high to the sky. Just a couple of nice breaths here. And after you finish that second breath, we'll lower back down. We'll come forward into a forward fold. Come all the way down. I prefer to keep my spine nice and straight for the forward fold. If you're comfortable with having the rounded spine as you come down, by all means, stay here for 1 breath. On the next inhale, we're going to come up to our half forward fold. Stay here for 1 more breath. And we'll come all the way back to standing. And at this point, we're just going to heel toe our feet out just a little bit, just so we have our toes pointing to the top corners of your mat. Heels are just a little bit more than hip width apart, and we're going to come down for a yogi squat. And I always use my elbows just to brace my knees, give a little extra push if I can. Now, we'll stay here just for a moment. It's not too hard of a pose to stay in. I just want to invite everybody to know that in this class, whatever is comfortable for you, however far down you can go, however far, whichever position, please listen to your bodies. I'll instruct to one position, but if your bodies can't go that way, by all means, go to what's comfortable for you. I just go to where I'm comfortable and I'll instruct you on variations of that. So one more breath here. And use your hands and we'll bring ourselves down to our mat. We'll come back to our hero pose. So feet pointing back to the back of the mat, nice kneeling position. Just hands on our knees, our thighs, just to have a nice strong back. And a nice inhale. I'm just going to come down. We're actually going to go into our pigeon. So we'll just come up just a little bit and we'll bring our right leg forward. I'm going to slide that left leg back. Just so we can have that nice crossover. And if ever you need a little more instruction, you're unsure of what I'm asking you to do, by all means, ask. I don't think anybody in the class would mind hearing that. Now, if you can't get your foot all the way across or all the way down, you can come to a low lunge just to save yourself a little bit, which would just look like this. Still with that left leg back, and you just keep the knee here at the right 90-degree angle, if that's a little easier for you. As I come back down. And I'll invite you, if you're able to get a little more extension. We'll come down to our forearms. I'll just take 2 breaths here. We'll prop ourselves back up. And we actually are going to go into the low lunge. So we'll leave that left leg back and bring our right foot forward. And as strange as it is, this is a really good balancing pose, just because you really have to root yourself and ground those knees and ankles. Just do a couple of breaths here as well. You can lower your hands to the mat, and we're just going to step forward all the way back up to our mountain pose. And rooting those feet, nice strong thighs, really engaging those quads, strong back, palms to the front. Now with the left foot rooted, just going to raise our right foot. We'll go back to our tree. I'm going to stay with the kickstand again, but I do invite you, if you have the balance, to bring your foot higher up your leg. And once you're there, we'll raise our hands. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Now, to help with balance, they say if you can find a point in the front of you in the room, it's called your drishti, and that will help maintain your balance as well. And on your next exhale, you can bring your feet down. And we use those arms and lower ourselves all the way down to a nice forward fold. Stay here for 2 breaths. On that next inhale, you can come up to your half forward fold. And then on your next breath, we'll come all the way to standing again. We'll just do our foot adjustment so that we can come down to our yogi squat. The key here is you really want to have that nice straight spine. And by straight, I don't mean vertical. I mean from your hips to your shoulders, just a straight line there, whether you're leaning forward or sitting up. Just one more breath here. If you can, but if you're not able to get there, again, it's going to be your pose that's comfortable for you. Not everybody's body's going to be the same. So on the next exhale, you can bring your hands down. We'll come back into our kneeling hero pose. Just going to let you stay here for one moment, right? Very warm. I'm just going to say it's the nerves that's got me, that's all. Yeah, that's why I keep telling you so I can remind myself. So one more breath here. And we'll just come forward a little bit. So we'll slide our right leg back. And then we'll bring our left heel forward, coming into pigeon. Again, if you're not able to, you can come and stay in the high pigeon or go into that low lunge just to take that pressure off your knee. And if you're able to, I invite you to come down onto your forearms, but you're welcome to stay propped up. It's a wonderful position in either way. This will just get a little more stretch through your hamstring. Even though we have that back leg stretched out, you still want to engage that quad, really work those legs. More breath here. On that next inhale, you can help prop yourself up. Swing that front leg around. We'll bring it up and come into that low lunge. How's everyone doing so far tonight? Everyone's looking great. It is. I'm going to open the door when we come up to our standing position here. So one more breath, and then we'll come back up to Tadasana. Stepping to the front of the mat. I'll let you guys all get position. I'm just going to open the door to hopefully create a little breeze, or at least a little air movement. So again, we're going to come into our Tadasana, really rooting our feet, engaging those quads, nice tall spine. This time we're going to take our hands over our heads. We're going to do a crescent, nice gentle bend to our right. One more breath here. On that exhale, we'll come to center. And then on the inhale, we'll go to our left. One more breath here. And we'll come back to center. Using our arms, we'll fold ourselves forward all the way down into that nice deep forward fold. And we will do a couple more of these this evening. So every time we go, if you want to just think about where you are at and maybe try to get a little bit more out of it. Stay here for one more breath. And we'll come up to our half forward fold. One more breath here. You can loosen those knees and bring yourself, your hands down to the mat, and we'll come back into Cobra. So again, really stretching those legs into the back of the room, engaging those quads, and then hands by your chest, and a nice arch forward. Now, for anyone that has that extra mobility or the strength, I invite you to come into an upward dog, where really you're just being held by your feet and by your palms. But you're welcome to stay in the Cobra, the Upward dog can be quite an intense pose. Just one more breath here. And we'll come back down. We'll curl those toes under. And we'll come back up for upward or for downward dog. I know we've had a little bit of movement already today, but I'm still always a fan of pedaling out my downward dog. I just find my calves and my hamstrings are always so tight. Everyone's looking great out there today. And we're just going to come down to our tabletop position. So on your next breath, come down to tabletop. I apologize, I meant to demonstrate this pose at the start of class just because it's not as common, but I'm confident I can guide you through it as we sit here. You're just going to lower your knees to your hips, sorry, towards your ankles. And this is called rabbit. Once we're down here, we're going to lower our head and the top of your head to the mat. And then your hands out towards your ankles. Once you're in that position, you can try and raise through your hips and knees, and that's going to get you that stretch through your spine and through your neck. I had to come up out of it because I just can't talk in that position. So just one more breath here. And on after you're done your next cycle, we can come back up into our tabletop position.
How's that supposed to stretch?
Because when you raise yourself, you've already got a little bit of tension in the neck, so it works your neck a little bit more, moving it forward, especially when you start raising your heels or raising your buttocks away from your feet. We're just going to do a thread the needle. So we're just going to take our right hand, reach up high to the sky. Just going to stay here for a nice breath. I'm going to take that arm, slide it all the way through and underneath, lowering our head and our shoulder to the mat, and just getting that nice gentle twist. Stay here for 2 breaths. Once you've finished your cycle, you can come back up into our tabletop. And we're just going to do the thread the needle with the other side. So we'll take our left arm, reaching high to the sky. Next breath here. Lower down, come all the way through. Resting that head on the mat and that shoulder as well. One more breath and then we'll come back to our tabletop. We're just going to come to our seated position, our staff pose. And if you have a strap, this is where I encourage you to use it. If you don't, we'll walk through it without it as well. If you do have a strap, we're just going to do a head to toe stretch. So we'll bring our right foot into our thigh. Then we'll take our strap and wrap it around the balls of our feet. And just get a little tension on there. And you're just going to bring yourself forward. Really want to use those arms to stretch that back, and you'll feel the pull in your hamstring and in your calves as well. And if you don't have a strap, by keeping your back and your shoulders nice and straight, just reaching forward rather than rounding your back. I know that you can get an extra stretch out of this, but that is not the intention for this pose today. We'll just stay here for one more breath. And then you can come back up to our sitting, but we'll leave our legs in this position. We're just going to go into our cow face. So we're just going to raise our left leg and take your right heel and pull it underneath or slide it underneath your left buttocks. And if you're able to, if you have that mobility, you're going to bring your left heel to the outside of your right knee. I always find I have less stretch on this side. So I'm always a little wobbly. And again, this one can also be done with or without the strap. It really depends on how flexible you are and how much you want to get out of pose. So we're going to take our left arm, reaching up over our head, and our right hand is going to come back underneath. Now, if you have a strap and you want to use it, same idea. We're just going to take our strap over our left shoulder. You're going to still reach up with your left hand, but you're going to grab the top of the strap. And you're going to reach up again from the bottom, grabbing the bottom end of the strap. And you can use your hands and just to inch a little towards each other, just get a little bit more stretch there. Stay here for one more breath. You can release. We'll come back down. And then we're just going to go into a seated twist. So again, we'll stay in this position. And we're just going to use our right hand as a little tripod behind us, just to help get a little extra height out of our back, rather than having it flat to the mat. And if you're able to, I'll guide you through it first with wrapping your hand around your knee to get a little twist towards your right side of your body. But if you have that mobility, placing your arm to the inside of your knee. And on each inhale, just stretch a little bit more, extending that spine. And on the exhale, just getting a little more twist. Just one more breath here. And we'll come back out. And bring our feet back to the front of the mat. And we'll bring our, we'll bring our left knee in. And we'll do our head to toe stretch. Again, reaching forward towards your right leg, your right foot, sorry. Again, giving that nice, tall, straight spine, chin as far as you can. Just one more breath here. We'll come back up to our sitting. We'll take that left heel and pull that underneath our right buttocks. And then we're going to take our right leg and pull it to the outside of our left knee. And again, we're going to do the cow face or gomukhsan. So for those that have the strap and you want to use the strap, by all means, just going to take our right arm up and over our head, reaching all the way back, taking that left hand up behind us. If you have your strap, you can just use that for a little extra. One more breath here. On that next inhale, you can release. Come back down. And we're just going to take that right arm, wrap the knee, reaching our left hand back. Again, using it as a little tripod to prop ourselves up, just so we can get a little more length out of our spine. And on each exhale, just give a little more rotation. Just one more breath here. And then we can just unravel. Just take a moment here. In our staff pose, feel that pull of the stretch. I always feel that in my shoulder. And we're just going to come back forward to our cobra. Coming all the way back down to the mat. And then rising up. Again, I invite you, if you have that ability, by all means, you can come into that full upward dog position. But I'm happy to stay in cobra myself. Just one more breath here. Come back down. Curling your toes in and coming up into downward dog. Everyone's looking great out there today. Just one more breath here in downward dog, and we'll come back down to our tabletop. Once everybody's come back down for tabletop, we're going to go back into the rabbit pose. So again, feet extended back, lowering ourselves back down. And the idea is really trying to bring your head as close to your knees as possible. Maybe that's where you will get that extra stretch. Just one more breath here. And we'll come back into our tabletop, and then we'll just move right into downward dog. Stay here for 2 more breaths. And after your second cycle there, we're just going to step forward, come back to the top of the mat. We're going to do a similar one as we did earlier with Warrior One, doing a rotation around the map. We're going to do it with Warrior Two, but we're going to do it with the opposite direction just to maintain that balance of movement. So we're really rooting and grounding through our feet, nice strong quads, tall back. Just a couple of nice breaths here. I'm going to take that left foot, really stretch it back. Now, unlike our Warrior One, we actually want to be more on railroad tracks, so the feet are a little bit further apart on the mat as far as to the left and right sides of your long edge. And then you want it so that your chest is a little more open to the long edge of your mat as well. And we'll lower into the room with our our right knee. Really trying to maintain that steady distance and the steady balance between the front and back hands at that even height between the room. Just one more breath here. And we'll come up just to a standing part of that. And we'll do the same rotation with the feet. Now this one will have to do a little movement though, just because you're gonna have to switch sides of the mat for your feet to keep that wide part of keep yourself wide to the long edge of the mat. Again, arms extended out, lowering that knee forward into the room, or I guess into the wall. And you can either gaze over your hand forward, or you can gaze across to the long edge of your mat where your chest is open to, whichever is more comfortable for your gaze. One more breath here. And we'll step all the way up to the short edge of the mat. Again, I'm just going to turn so I can watch everybody. We'll ground ourselves and root our feet. Engaging those quads, nice tall spine. Nice deep breath. And we'll take those feet. Again, stepping back with our left foot. Again, on that wider stance for those railroad tracks. Chest open to the long edge of the mat. Arms up at even height in the front and the back, lowering that knee into the room. One more breath here. We'll come back to our standing. Again, we'll do the same rotation with our feet so that we're wide on the mat. I'm just going to guide you through this one because I can't see anybody. So arms stretched to the sides, to the front and back of the short edges of your mat. Nice even height, lowering that forward knee back into the room. Everybody's looking great today. Really remember to keep that back leg engaged. It's not doing as much work back there, but if we keep it engaged, it'll maintain that active position. One more breath. And we'll step forward to the front of the mat. And then we're going to, excuse me, come into our Tadasana. Again, nice strong legs, tall spine. This time we're going to come straight down to the yogi pose as opposed to doing our tree. So again, heel toe ourselves out a little bit. We'll lower ourselves down, really keeping that straight spine. Having I like to use my elbows to brace my knees and just give a little extra push. It also forces me to keep my spine a little bit straighter, a little more rigid. Just one more breath here. On that next inhale, lower our hands to the mat. We'll come down into our hero pose. Feet extended to the back of the mat. Really having that nice strong spine. Another couple of nice breaths here. Just come up just a little bit, and we can use our hands to help prop ourselves. Slide that right leg back. Bring that left heel forward. Come down for a pigeon. Again, I invite you to come all the way down to your forearms, but you're welcome to stay propped. I think I'm going to stay there myself, just to get that extra stretch the spine this way. Just one more breath. Bring that foot around. We'll come up into that low lunge. Keeping that right leg all the way back. Just getting a little extra stretch through the top of your right leg. Just one more breath here. We'll just come back down. We're actually just going to switch our legs. In the honor of time, we'll go into our pigeon on the right side rather than coming all the way back up to the top of the mat. Bring that left leg all the way back. And then if you're able to, lowering yourselves down. One more breath here. That next exhale, we can prop ourselves. Come back up. Bring that right foot around and we'll come back up into that low lunge. One more breath here. Lower our hands down to the mat. And we'll come forward to the top of the mat. And we'll just come back into our Tadasana so that we can come back into our crescent. So we'll take our hands right over our head. We're still engaging those quads and rooting those feet. And we'll just do a little lean to the right side. One more breath here. Back to center. Next breath, we'll move to the left side. One more breath here, and we'll come back up to center. Once we're at center, we'll use those arms to bring us all the way down to a nice forward fold. And seeing if we can just get a little bit more out of that this evening as class has gone on. Just come up to the half forward fold. Just one more breath here for everyone. Loosen your knees. We'll bring ourselves back to the floor. We're just going to come back into our tabletop. We'll just run through the rabbit and thread the needle again, just to give a little extra stretch with that gentle twist in there as well. So lowering our hips back to our heels. Lowering our head, the top of the head to the mat. Arms back. And then if you're able to, lift those hips a little bit higher than they were, just to see if you can get a little bit more stretch. Just one more breath there, and we'll come back to our tabletop. And for the sake of balance, we'll do our thread the needle, but we're going to do it with the left side first. So we'll take our left hand, reaching high to the sky. Nice big breath here. On that next exhale, lower that arm and thread it right through. One more breath here. On the next exhale, you can come back up to our tabletop. We'll take our right hand all the way to the sky again. Nice big breath. On that exhale, just slide it right through. More breath here. We'll come back into our tabletop. We'll just go through a little bit of a cool down before we move into our Shavasana for the evening. So we'll come back from tabletop. We'll actually just move into our child's pose. I prefer the extended child's pose. So my feet together, knees slightly apart, and then my arms forward into the room. With these positions in the cool down, we're going to hold them a little bit longer just while we let our bodies cool. It's a bit of a warm evening, at least I'm finding it is. So just one more breath here. On that next inhale, we can come up to our tabletop. We can do our cat cow again. Now that it's the end of the class, I encourage you to go try and get a little deeper bend when you do your cow, lowering your stomach to the floor, looking up towards the sky. We'll do a full cycle in each position. On that next exhale, then move back up, but really try and get that nice big arch. Lowering back down. Getting that chin up towards the level with the floor. And nice big cat arch. And one more cycle. Lowering down for cow. And then back up for cat. Let's just lower our backs down to that prone position. Extend those feet back out into the end of your mat, lowering yourself down for cobra. And really still engaging those quads and extending those feet and then rising up. Breath here. Lower down on that exhale. Curling those toes under. We're going to raise our hips and come back up into our downward dog. Everyone's got a really great downward dog. Just do one more breath cycle here. We'll come back down. We're going to actually come back down to a seated position. So come on. All the way back down. We're going to head into a supine position just to do a little gentle rotation to round out that lower spine twist. Actually, I guess that's more of a full spine twist. So we'll bring our knees to our chest. Arms out as a T. Again, just really using them to help anchor you. And we're going to take that twist and we're going to go to the left side first this time. If you can get all the way to the floor with your knees, that's great. I'm struggling this evening. Just do one more breath here. We'll come back up. And we'll take that rotation and go over to the right side. One more breath here. We'll come back up and lower our feet to the mat. We've got a couple of minutes before we go into Savasana, so let's do a bridge pose just while we have our feet propped up here. You can have your hands to the side of the mat. We're just going to use our hips and our core to raise ourselves up. So really you just have your feet and your shoulders touching the mat, propping yourself up. Just one more breath here. Just lower ourselves back down gently. At this point, I'll invite you, if you have anything that you like to use for your Savasana, whether it's a blanket or an iPad or an eye pillow, um, by all means, take a moment or a prop for your neck, depending on how you enjoy your shavasana. I'll allow you just a moment to grab those. And I'll just guide you into your shavasana, and then I'll let you be, and then I'll bring you back out when class is coming to an end. So just really take a couple of nice deep breaths here. Just try and relax those eyebrows and that forehead. Try and let all that tension go from your neck and shoulders. Try and melt them into the mat. Wiggle those fingers and see if you can get some of that tension from the day out. Just move down to our legs, and if you need to splay your feet so you get what you're comfortable is, by all means. And I know they say try and keep your mind empty. Personally, I'm a busy dad with lots on the go and find that almost impossible. But what I do like to do is, even if I find my mind's wandering, I take it back to the breath. Then I at least know I have the control that when I catch myself, I can bring myself back to it. So don't feel bad if you can't not think about things in your day. Just know that you can control it and come back to your breath. Slowly, I'll get you to just bring your awareness back to the room, back to where we are. There's no rush here. Take a nice inhale. Maybe wiggle those toes a little. A little movement in your ankles. Move up your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your wrists. Just bringing awareness back to the room and where you are the day, your intention for the practice. Maybe another couple of nice deep breaths. And as you're ready, you can make your way back to seated, whether that's coming up or rolling to your side, whichever is your comfortable way of coming back up to join us in the room. I appreciate you all coming and making space with me this evening to continue your practice. And let me guide you through your evening. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.